She's a Marxist. She says things like this, equity. She says, okay, how much of your hard work and your money that you earned is somebody else's fair share? Your money, you keep it. The inflation, the 26% inflation that the Biden-Harris administration caused is theft. It is an unfair taxation on your families, and you all feel it. I felt it myself filling up gas on the way over here. And by the way, Chandler's got an amazing steakhouse right here, DC Steakhouse. They've got an amazing Indian food place too called Fargiga. I don't know what it is, but I know it's something very close to that. So, look, this is a great state. There are great people here all along this state. I meet wonderful people. It is a beautiful state.
Rob Schneider, a comedian known for his roles in popular films, has recently taken on a new role as a political commentator. His critique of Vice President Kamala Harris is both scathing and deeply personal, reflecting a growing frustration among certain segments of the American populace. Schneider's words paint a picture of a leader he believes is out of touch with the everyday struggles of Americans, particularly when it comes to economic issues. The comedian's approach is unique. He seamlessly weaves between serious political commentary and lighthearted observations about local eateries. This style makes his message more accessible and relatable to the average person who might be feeling the economic pinch, but still appreciates the simple pleasures of their community. Schneider's critique goes beyond just economic policy. He delves into what he perceives as a fundamental shift in American political discourse.
To not get down about this election, because this is, anytime there's problems, whether it's in your family, whether it's in the community, whether it's our state, whether it's our nation, these are opportunities by God. Now we can decide what kind of family we want, what kind of community we want, what kind of state that we want. We want to keep this state free. This is the bulwark. If Arizona goes, so goes the nation. Now, I would just tell people who get down about things that 30% during COVID tyranny went with it and were gung-ho about the COVID tyranny and did what the government said. 30% went along with it because it was easier. But 30% said, F you. It's my body, I'm not doing it, my family.
This rallying cry is reminiscent of historical moments of American resistance. Schneider draws a bold parallel between the current political climate and one of the most pivotal moments in American history.
30% during the Revolutionary War, 30% were with the Brits, 30% were ambivalent, but 30% of the colonists said, no, we want to start a new country. And those 30% won. And they beat the greatest power on earth, the greatest military power on earth, England at that time. Well, guess what? We got 30% in the United States already. We are not turning this over to a Marxist like Kamala Harris. She's a Marxist.
By drawing this comparison, Schneider is attempting to inspire his audience, suggesting that even a minority can affect significant change if they're passionate and committed enough. This historical analogy serves to frame the current political situation as a pivotal moment in American history, one that requires active participation and resistance from those who share his views. The narrative then shifts to Schneider's observations about Harris's public appearances and speaking style. His critique is harsh, but delivered with a comedian's timing.
She talks like Christopher Walken, because Christopher Walken, you never know when he's going to keep talking or stop. And you have Kamala has the same way. To be unburdened, depending on what accent she wants to use, to be unburdened by what has been. And I think she's she either thinketh too much or can't think at all. And I think that's it's somewhere in between. But don't make the mistake that she's a dummy. I think she's a Marxist, and I think we have to really call it what it is. I mean, I do feel like this whole idea, and I'm a big Thomas Sowell fan, and the idea that we can all have the same outcomes when we don't have, in society, when we can't even have it in the same family, that seems crazy. I mean, and the idea that, you know, how much of your hard work is somebody else's fair share, you know? And that's Marxism, that's communism, and that's what we're dealing with here.
Well, Schneider's critique of Harris goes beyond just her speaking style. He suggests that her policies and ideologies represent a fundamental shift away from traditional American values. By invoking the work of Thomas Sowell, a prominent conservative intellectual, Schneider is appealing to a specific ideological framework that values individual responsibility and free market economics over government intervention and wealth redistribution. The comedian's concerns extend beyond just Harris to encompass the entire current administration.
There's nothing that this regime, this Biden-Harris regime, won't do to remain in power. And we're seeing it right now in real time.
Well, I mean, if you want to know yesterday, I mean, if you look at Joe Biden, even yesterday, he was on The View, which I know most of America stopped everything to see, the latest. And one was
The View. Now there's a
have you been on
an objective? I was on with Barbara when it used to be a normal show, when it wasn't a Democratic, a DNC mouthpiece for Democrats.
Here, Schneider expresses frustration not just with the administration, but with what he perceives as a biased media landscape. His reference to The View as a DNC mouthpiece reflects a common conservative critique of mainstream media outlets. Schneider's commentary also touches on what he sees as a concerning shift in political discourse and the ability to critique those in power.
And unfortunately, we have a real fragile political environment now on the Democrat side because you can't do it. I mean, they've already tried to murder Trump twice already. And so, for Kamala to be so afraid to even have a joke thrown at her, to be the Babylon Bee, and God bless Seth Dillon, and him saying like, Kamala survives another attempted interview. That's pretty good, huh?
That's great.
This statement reflects a broader concern about the state of free speech and political humor in America. Schneider suggests that there's an asymmetry in how different political figures are treated, both by the media and by their political opponents. Rob Schneider's commentary paints a picture of an America at a crossroads. His words reflect deep concerns about the direction of the country, touching on issues of economic policy, free speech, media bias, and what he perceives as a shift towards more extreme leftist ideologies. Whether one agrees with his perspective or not, it's clear that Schneider sees the upcoming election as a critical moment for the nation's future. His call to action is clear. He believes that engaged citizens, even if they're in the minority, have the power to shape the country's direction. As America moves closer to another election cycle, voices like Schneider's will undoubtedly play a role in shaping the political discourse, for better or for worse.